afternoon. We are gathered today on the traditional territory of the signatories of Treaty 7, and I'd also like to acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection to this land. My name is Rakhi Pancholi. I'm the MLA for Edmonton-Whitemud and the Alberta NDP Official Opposition Critic for Education. I'm joined today by Tanya Hagan, a mother of a 10-year-old daughter with complex needs and a fierce advocate for public education. We're here today to stand up for Alberta students, their education, and their futures. Danielle Smith and the UCP have done extensive damage to public education in our province. Immediately after being elected in 2019, the UCP made dramatic cuts to education funding, including, in the middle of the pandemic, choosing to lay off 20,000 support staff. These staff members include substitute teachers, school bus drivers, and educational assistants. It meant students, especially those with disabilities, were left without the support they needed during the pandemic. And 3 years later, they are still left without those supports. Those EAs were never hired back in the same numbers that they were fired by the UCP. And this is the case even though Alberta has more students with more complex needs than 4 years ago. Under the UCP, only the students with the highest needs in our province may have an EA in their classroom, but that's only if they're lucky. Just last week, I had an EA approach me in tears because of the devastating lack of adequate supports for the students she loved and cared about last year, and she's even more worried about what's going to happen next year. And when there's not enough support in the classroom for students who have higher needs, those students struggle more, and so do their classmates. The UCP have significantly under-resourced our schools and students every single year that they have been government. Alberta school boards are 2,000 teachers short of where they need to be, giving our province the dubious distinction of having the highest student-to-teacher ratio in the country. Students, staff, and families are under undue stress as they attempt to cope with crowded classrooms and witness students falling through the cracks. Tanya has seen the impacts of these cuts firsthand, and I'll pass it over to her now to share her family's experience.
Thank you. Thank you, Rakhi. I have a 10-year-old daughter who attends the local community school and is just finishing grade 4. She has always loved school and thrived academically and really enjoys science in particular. However, this year wasn't so great. In fact, in the first term, she came to me because she was having a really hard time and wondered if it would be possible to leave school or be homeschooled. My verbally gifted, brilliant daughter, who loves school and loves learning, was diagnosed some time ago with anxiety and a number of complex learning disorders. She benefits from additional support in the classroom. At the beginning of the school year, there were 36 kids in my daughter's class. She's been fortunate to have an excellent teacher this year, but her teacher was struggling and working so hard to teach such a large group of students that she had little or no time to address the complex needs of individual students, and my daughter just wasn't able to get the attention she needed. The school ended up having to split the class, which improved the situation for the second term. However, the difficulty my daughter had already experienced could have some long-term effects in her life. My child is not the only kid with complex learning needs. There are many others in her school with much more severe needs. It's an excellent school, and the teachers and staff do their best, but there just aren't enough people to help all the kids who need support in many different ways and wind up falling through the cracks. My daughter loves school, loves science. Even in grade 4, she talks about studying science later in life. But my daughter's struggles with writing have caused lots of anxiety and heartache. With the support of an amazing teacher, my little girl went from hating writing to building up her skills and confidence. Her change of attitude and outlook on her abilities speaks to the importance of teachers and their ability to support kids when given the right environment. But that environment doesn't exist anymore. My daughter was in kindergarten when the UCP came into power. I remember the list of staff who were fired as soon as the UCP cuts began. We lost 12 support staff immediately, no warning. No ability to plan and figure out what else to do next. I worry about what grade 5 and 6 are going to look like for my daughter. She's a bright kid, gifted even with her learning disorders, and like all children, filled with tons of potential. But without the necessary supports, my daughter will not thrive. The past 4 years under the UCP government was devastating for education in Alberta. I'm fearful about what more damage will be done during the next 4 years of a UCP government. The system isn't just broken, it is truly under siege by a government that wants to crush it. The province needs to hire more teachers, hire more support staff, and make sure that kids are getting what they need to succeed. Otherwise, another 4 years of the UCP damage will make life and learning extremely difficult for an entire generation of kids like mine.
Well, thank you, Tanya, and thanks for those powerful words and for advocating for not just your daughter, but for so many kids across this province. I think that was exactly what so many parents, unfortunately, are feeling right now, and I appreciate you speaking up. The UCP's destructive handling of public education has left so many Alberta children like Tanya's daughter and others with complex needs without the support they need to thrive in the classroom. One of the first acts of the UCP was to cut program unit funding, or PUF. PUF is the lifeline that prepares children with unique learning needs, such as those who are deaf or hard of hearing, or children who are neurodiverse, for success in grade 1. These are our youngest learners. The UCP reduced support for 3- and 4-year-olds and ended this crucial support for kids once they enter kindergarten. This program provided vital support, including educational assistants, speech-language pathologists, and occupational therapists. Today, we are calling on the UCP government to do the right thing and not only immediately restore program unit funding, but increase it. Parents and educators have told us that an increase of $100 million is needed to provide the necessary support for children to learn effectively. All children deserve a fair chance at achieving their full potential. This is an action that the UCP could commit to right away today. This would demonstrate they actually care about our kids and our future. The UCP must do the right thing and fund supports for these students. Just as our kids need and deserve the necessary support to succeed, teachers deserve the support that will bring class sizes down and help them focus on what they are passionate about doing, and that's helping students learn. Instead of defunding our public education, we need to invest in it. Here in Calgary, an Alberta NDP government would build new schools. That's what we promised that we would have done. The UCP has ignored the growing need for new schools across our province, especially in Calgary. Just one new public school over 3 years is not enough for the largest school district, one where kids are bussed out of their communities to overcrowded classrooms. And it's the same story for students choosing Catholic education. Just one new school in 3 years. It's not nearly enough for young and growing families in Calgary. If we want a better future for our children, our grandkids, and future generations, we must invest in public education. Public education really is the great equalizer, the greatest form of giving every child every full opportunity they deserve. So today, we are also calling on Minister Nicolaides and the UCP government to show Albertans their plan to address this summer the desperate shortage of teachers, EAs, and support staff so that school boards have the support staff they need to properly support students. Smaller class sizes and more support will ensure every student gets the attention they need to learn all that they can. Smaller class sizes are better for kids, better for teachers, and better for Alberta's future. Thank you, and be happy to take your questions.
Thank you. With that, we'll open the line for questions. We'll start with questions in the room. Seeing none, move to questions online. A reminder, press *9 or use the raise hand function on Zoom. And seeing no further questions, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you, everyone.